$1,000. That's a number, not a fortune, not a windfall, not the result of years of grinding and sacrifice, just $1,000. Maybe it's a tax refund. Maybe it's 3 months of skipping the thing you used to buy without thinking. Maybe it's a gift from someone who believed in you before you believed in yourself. It doesn't matter where it came from. What matters is what you do with it in the next 90 days. Two people have $1,000 today, same amount, same starting line, same Monday morning with the same notification on their phone telling them the deposit cleared. They both feel the same thing for approximately 1 hour. Possibility. The rare, quiet feeling that something could actually change. Then the hour ends, and the $1,000 becomes a decision. The first move. Person A sits with the $1,000 for 3 days, not from indecision, from intention. They'll open a notebook, not an app, a physical notebook, and they write one question at the top of the page. What does $10,000 look like built from this? Not what does $10,000 feel like? Not what would I do with $10,000? What does it look like built? The word built is doing all the work in that sentence because built implies a process, built implies materials, built implies that the $1,000 is not the destination. It is the first unit of something that has a structure. They research for 3 days, not YouTube rabbit holes, not Reddit threads that end in arguments about crypto. Actual research. They read about index funds. They read about high yield savings accounts. They read about the difference between speculating and investing. They write down what they learn. They close the notebook. They sleep on it. On day 4, they make the first move. $600 goes into a total market index fund inside a Roth IRA they opened 6 months ago and have been contributing to in small amounts since. The remaining $400 goes into a high yield savings account earning 4.8% APY. Not because $400 in a savings account becomes $10,000, it doesn't, but because the $400 is the foundation, the reserve, the part of the plan that doesn't move when everything else gets complicated. Person A has not turned $1,000 into $10,000. They have done something more important. They have built the architecture that makes $10,000 possible. Person B gets a $1,000 on the same day. By the end of the first week, $340 of it is gone. Not dramatically, not stupidly, gradually. The way money always leaves when you don't tell it where to go. A dinner that was a celebration, a subscription that auto-renewed and they forgot to cancel. A purchase that made complete sense at 9 p.m. on a Thursday and slightly less sense at 9 a.m. on Friday. The $340 is not wasted in the way people mean when they say wasted. It was spent on real things. It just wasn't directed. The remaining $660 sits in a checking account, not a savings account. A checking account, earning 0. Accessible at all times, available to become the next thing that seems reasonable at 9 p.m. on any given Thursday. Person B has $660 and a plan to do something with it next month. Next month is a concept that has never once in the history of personal finance produced a different result than this month. The 90-day mark. Person A's $600 in the index fund has been in the market for 87 days. The market moved. It always moves. There was a week in month 2 where the balance dropped to $541, and person A noticed it the way you notice a weather change, observed it, registered it, did not react to it. They bought $80 more that week, not because they had a system that said buy the dip, because they had a principle that said the price going down is not a reason to stop. It is the absence of a reason to stop. The $400 in the high yield savings account has earned $5.12 in interest. That number looks small. It is small, but it is the first money person A has ever made while doing nothing. And something shifts when you make money while doing nothing for the first time, not in your account. In your understanding of what money can do, when you stop treating it like something you spend and start treating it like something you deploy. Person A's $1,000 is now worth approximately $1,089. Person B's $660 in the checking account is now $410. Not because of one bad decision, because of 6 medium ones. The kind that feel like living. The kind that are living, but the kind that, compounded across 90 days, quietly cut the original steak nearly in half before the plan ever started. Person B is not irresponsible. Person B is human. The problem is that human, without a structure, without a direction, without a system that removes the moment of decision, human defaults to the path of least friction. And the path of least friction always runs downhill. The first real move, 6 months in. Person A has been doing something in parallel with the investing, something quiet, something they haven't told anyone about because it hasn't produced anything worth talking about. Yet, they started selling something, not a business, not a brand, a skill. They are a competent writer and they found 3 small businesses that need email newsletters written, and they're charging $150 per newsletter, 2 newsletters a month per client, $900 a month. Before anything else, before the job, before the weekend, before the question of whether it's enough to count, it counts. Every dollar of the $900 goes into the Roth IRA and the brokerage account split 60-40. They do not change their lifestyle. They do not upgrade anything. They eat the same lunches. They drive the same car. The side income is not income yet. It is fuel. It is the accelerant on a fire that is already burning, just slowly. By month 6, Person A's total invested position is $4,200. The $1,000 they started with has not become $10,000, but the machine that will produce $10,000 is running, and that is not the same thing as the $1,000 not working. It is the $1,000 working exactly the way it was always supposed to, as a beginning, not a result. Person B, at 6 months, has had a realization. It arrived the way realizations usually arrive. Not as inspiration, but as discomfort. They looked at their checking account on a Tuesday night and the number was $180. And it was 11 days before payday. And the $1,000 they started with was effectively gone and they had nothing to show for it that felt like a decision they made. It felt like weather, like something that happened to them. That feeling is important. That feeling is the beginning. Person B opens a high-yield savings account. They transfer $200 from their checking account, almost everything they have, into it. They set up an automatic transfer of $50 every 2 weeks, starting with the next payday. They find an article about index funds. They bookmark it. They read the first 3 paragraphs and close it. They open it again the next morning and read the whole thing. This is not a dramatic moment. This is not a montage. This is a person at a kitchen table at 11 p.m. making a small decision that they are not yet sure they will keep, but they make it. The gap at 6 months. Person A, $4,200 invested. $400 in savings reserve, side income generating $900 per month, net financial position approximately $4,600. Person B, $200 in a high yield savings account, $50 automatic transfer just set up, 0 invested, net financial position approximately $200. The distance between these 2 people is $4,400. They started with the same $1,000. They had the same 6 months. The difference is not talent or luck or a contact or an opportunity that only one of them had. The difference is that one of them asked what $10,000 looks like built and then started building it. The other one asked what $1,000 feels like and then felt it until it was gone. Both are completely human responses to having $1,000. Only one of them compounds. Month 7 through 12. Person A's side income grows. Not because they found more clients, because they got better. The newsletters they write in month 8 are measurably sharper than the ones they wrote in month 1. One client notices. They ask for a 4th newsletter per month. The rate goes up. Person A now earns $1,100 a month. From writing before they open a single work email, they reinvest everything. Month 10, the invested position crosses $7,000. They don't celebrate. They note it. They close the app. They go to sleep. They wake up and write another newsletter. The market does something in month 11 that the news calls alarming. Person A's brokerage account drops $600 in 4 days. They look at it twice. They do not sell. They do not move the money. They remember what they read in month 1, that the market has dropped and recovered from every single correction in modern financial history, and that the only people who lost money in those corrections were the ones who decided that this time was different. This time is never different. That is not optimism. That is data. By month 12, Person A's total invested position is $9,100. Person B at month 12 has $1,400 in the high yield savings account. The automatic transfer has been running for 6 months without interruption. They opened a Roth IRA in month 9. The balance is $600. They have $2,000 total in financial assets for the first time in their adult life. They have not turned $1,000 into $10,000, but they have built something they did not have a year ago. A system, a small one, an imperfect one that still has months where the transfer happens and they wince at the checking balance. But a system, even a small one, even an imperfect one, compounds in a direction that no amount of intention ever compounds in. The crossing. Month 14. Person A opens the brokerage app on a Wednesday morning, not with anticipation. As a routine, the way you check the weather before you leave the house, not because you expect to surprise, but because it's part of how you move through the day. The balance is $10,400. They close the app. They open it again, $10,400. They sit with that for a moment. They thought it would feel bigger. They thought crossing $10,000 would have a texture to it, some physical sensation, some signal from the nervous system that said something is different now. Instead, it is quiet, the way all real crossings are quiet. Not because the number doesn't matter, it does, but because the work that produced it was so gradual, so daily, so built from small, consistent decisions that the arrival feels like a natural consequence rather than an event. There's no one to call. Not because they don't have people, because there is no one in their life who would understand what the number means. Not the dollar amount. Anyone can understand $10,400. What it means, what it cost in redirected impulses and held positions and client emails sent at 6 a.m., and market dips watched without flinching, and Thursday nights that stayed home when they wanted to go out. The meaning of the number lives entirely inside the person who built it. That is both the loneliness and the point. Person B at month 14 has $3,100 in total financial assets, $1,900 in savings, $1,200 in the Roth IRA. The system is working slowly, in the way that slow things work, without drama, without a highlight reel, without a moment that feels like proof, just a number that is slightly larger every time they look at it. And the growing understanding that a number that is slightly larger every time you look at it is a number that is on the right side of time. They are not at $10,000. They are pointed at it, and pointed at, held steadily, without flinching, is how every $10,000 ever got built. What the distance actually measures. Person A at month 14, $10,400 invested, side income $1,300 per month, total financial assets $10,400. The $1,000 became $10,000 in 14 months. Person B at month 14, $3,100 in total financial assets. Automatic system running, Roth IRA, open and funded, net financial position improving for the first time in their adult life. The distance between them is $7,300. But the distance is not the story. The story is that both of them started with $1,000 and a feeling of possibility that lasted approximately 1 hour. And both of them, in their own way, in their own time, at their own pace, decided that the hour didn't have to end. Person A decided it on day 1. Person B decided it on month 6. Neither decision was wrong. Both decisions were real. The only wrong decision is the one that never gets made. The one where the $1,000 sits in a checking account earning 0 and becomes $660 and then $410. And then the memory of a time when something could have been different. The thing nobody tells you about $1,000. $1,000 is not a number. $1,000 is a question. The question is not how do I turn this into $10,000. The question is, what kind of relationship do I want to have with money for the rest of my life? Because the answer to that question, the real answer, the one you build into your behavior rather than the one you write in a journal at midnight, that answer is visible in what you do with $1,000 before the hour of possibility runs out. Person A answered the question on day 4 with a notebook and a Roth IRA and a principle that said built is the operative word. Person B answered it 6 months later at a kitchen table at 11 p.m. with a $200 transfer and a bookmarked article and a small decision they were not yet sure they would keep. Both answers were correct. Both answers compounded. One just had a head start. The $1,000 is sitting in your account right now. The hour is running. What are you building?